Hey, what is up, guys, and welcome back to the FC Football channel. And Manchester United have lost 3-2 to Arsenal. Not an ideal result, but I think there is a lot of positives to take from that game. Obviously, it goes without saying, Arsenal are a very, very good side. Top of the league, above Manchester City now by 5 points. I mean, if that doesn't speak about the strength of this Arsenal team, I don't know what does, because we know how good Manchester City are and have been over the last, well, essentially decade. Well, it has been a decade of real Manchester City dominance, and Arsenal have rocked up this season, have dominated the league. And look at the league table right now. Oh. So this isn't live, but obviously add 3. So they've got 50 points after 19 games. 5 more than Man City, with it, and they've got a game in hand to go 8 points clear. Even the likes of, like, this is the levels that Man City and Liverpool have been putting up the last few years. Arsenal deserve a lot of credit for what they've done. And the fact that we are sat here, come the end of the game, disappointed that we've lost in the fashion that we have, it shows progression, because so often we've come to a team that are top of the league and we get battered for 90 minutes. And we are lucky to get anything, or to even be in the game come the 90th minute. The fact we had a point come the 90th minute, and a dubious goal, a goal that probably should stand, is what has kind of lost us the game. A very, very close offside. I think you can take a lot of you can see a lot of good things happening, essentially. And this isn't a fully strength Manchester United team. We are missing our best midfielder, or if not best, our most important in Casemiro. And today, instead, we have to play Scott McTominay, who we know how he's got his limitations. We know he's not a Casemiro, not even just type player, but level and quality player. And yet especially at times, we went toe-to-toe with Arsenal. So I think there are certainly reasons to be optimistic and to be happy with the performance. That being said, of course, we did lose in the end. Did we deserve to lose or not? Obviously, I'll leave that up to you guys. Cesc Fabregas looks very smug in the studio. The Spaniard can get fucked. But like I said, we're missing some key players. Casemiro's out. No Martial. No Diogo Dalot. Generally, I thought at times we went toe-to-toe with Arsenal, an Arsenal team that has been the best player in the league, the best team in the league this season, one of the best sides in Europe this season, and we were able to go toe-to-toe with them at their own ground. They didn't have it all their own way, and at the end of the day, it took a world-class goal by Bukayo Saka. It took, I can't remember the both Nketiah's first. It was the header, yeah. It took the sloppy defending from Wan-Bissaka, and then it took a really nice move at the last one. So it's not as if they've broken us down time and time again, created loads of really high quality opportunities. They've won they've had 3 moments, and they've took all 3 realistically. Yeah. But look, that's not me taking anything away from Arsenal, because, like I said, they are the best team in the league at the moment. I think they probably there is no reason why anyone should think that Arsenal won't go on to win the league. Based on all the evidence we've seen this season, Arsenal will go on to win the league, because they are so good. So you've got to give respect to Arsenal, but I think these Manchester United players deserve credit for what they've done today, because it was never going to be an easy game coming to the Emirates, given that most of these players started. The starting 11 is the same starting 11 that started against Crystal Palace on Wednesday. So these players haven't had the full week of rest like Arsenal have. They've come to the Emirates, a fortress, and lost it in the last minute. And I think, look, I don't understand why United played on Wednesday and Arsenal didn't. There is no reason why that should have been the case. I think it's bullshit in a sense because Arsenal now are a game behind still to everyone else. You look at the table with United have now played 20. Obviously, Man City, Newcastle have played 20, but Arsenal have played 19. So why have they not played their game in hand? I don't get that. I think it's bizarre. Because especially there's no they weren't playing European football. There's no European football. So why were they not playing? Why did they not play when we had to play? And are Arsenal playing on Wednesday? Unless Arsenal are playing Wednesday, I think it's a disgrace that they didn't play on Wednesday. And obviously that makes it harder. And I think, and look, I said it during the watch long. Come the end of the game, our players were looking leggy, and no, they're not. So why did they not play? Why did they not play the midweek? Oh, that's fishy. That again, I'm not using it as an excuse, but Man United players started looking leggy at the end, and the goal comes from Scott McTominay. He dives in to try and reach a ball. If that's in the first 20 minutes and he's fresh still, he probably makes it to that ball, and the goal doesn't happen. But because we've played on Wednesday, because McTominay played on Wednesday, he's tired, and that is naturally going to be an advantage. If you're playing 3 games a week, you are going to be naturally more tired than a team that hasn't played in a week. And I think we did see that from Arsenal. But at the same time, I think you have to give, like I keep saying, you have to give a lot of credit to Arsenal for the job they did. They were very, very good. Very, very good. I mean, we'll go into the player ratings. Obviously, 6 is average. 7 is above average. 8 is good. 9 is brilliant. 10 is can't really get any better. 5 is below average. 4 is he played bad. 3 is really bad. 2 is a stinker. 1 is absolutely dreadful. Sell him right this second. Well, no, 1 is just really, really bad, and 0. If you get a 0, never play him again. Sell him. So yeah, so we'll get it started. David De Gea. Look, for all of David De Gea's what would be the word? Deficiencies. He has made a world-class save to deny Nketiah at 2-2. He is a good goalkeeper. He's not. I think you look at the difference between Ramsdale and De Gea. Ramsdale is the type of goalkeeper that Manchester United need. And United do need to get that done. Whether or not that needs to happen straight away or not, I don't know. And whether or not Ten Hag believes he can make De Gea that, I'm not sure. I have my doubts about that. I do think at some point De Gea will be replaced. And I think their first goal probably doesn't come if it's not for De Gea. De Gea gives it to Wan-Bissaka. I don't think really the pass to Wan-Bissaka was ever particularly on. Wan-Bissaka should do better. United never really recovered from that point on. And then you even look back, you look at come the end of the game, the ball's up in the air and De Gea punches it rather than just catches it. So De Gea's not the finished article, but he made a world-class save. I don't know if he can do it. I don't know how much he could do about the Saka goal. 3rd goal, he couldn't do really anything about it. I'll give him a 6, David De Gea. Any Nketiah's numbers don't lie from the beginning. Didn't lie from the beginning. Look, Eddie Nketiah looks great. He looks like a very, very good player. And look, whether or not he's a deputy to Gabriel Jesus or Gabriel Jesus comes back and then he's a deputy, Both of them are very, very good strikers. Very, very good strikers. Wan-Bissaka, I'll give him a 6. Again, he's been playing really well at the moment, Wan-Bissaka. Today, I thought it weren't at his best. Massively at fault for the first goal. And then the second, actually. No, sorry. First, I'm thinking the 2 scenarios in the first goal he was at fault at. Really at fault for the first goal. He loses the ball, and is the reason we concede the corner originally. We then clear the corner, and it's his man at the back post. I thought Gabriel Martinelli had a fairly quiet game, and that was partly thanks to Wan-Bissaka. Not great from. I don't think he had a bad game. Probably just about average. Maybe you knock him down to a 5. Varane and Martinez. Generally, I think they do. Both of them did quite well. You know what? I'm knocking. Oh no, Wan-Bissaka to a 5. Varane can have a 6. Martinez can have a 7. Shaw can have a. I'm going to give Shaw a 5 as well. So Varane, yeah, I don't think he really did anything wrong. I don't think any of the goals were his fault. He had a comfortable game, Varane, and I think the same with Martinez. Martinez obviously got the equaliser, so he gets bumped up to a 7. Both the centre backs have again played really well. Luke Shaw gets a 5. Again, not his best game. He was okay going forward, okay defensively. I just think he gave Bukayo Saka had too good of a game. Obviously, I know it's really hard to stop Bukayo Saka, and that's not necessarily on Luke Shaw, but ultimately Luke Shaw is there to stop Saka, and he couldn't really do that. And Saka scored a goal, was very influential in the game. I think Luke Shaw's had better games than he did today. 5. Eriksen probably gets a 6. Tomine a 5. They were alright. Eriksen's not a defensive midfielder. I think you can see that. The Saka goal. Eriksen, if he's a more defensively minded player, maybe he gets to that. But I think it's unfair to rate someone harshly when they're playing out of position. And that's essentially what Eriksen's doing all year. He's not a defensive player. And when you give a player like Eriksen defensive responsibilities, you seize moments like that. And I don't particularly blame that on Eriksen, because that's just kind of your natural instinct. Like, he's not a defensive player. That he doesn't read the game in that sense. But Tomine, just below average. Like, he weren't dreadful. But it's unfair to do this. I get it's unfair for me to do this, and it's for me to say this, but you're naturally comparing him to who he's replaced, and that's Casemiro. Casemiro's in this game. United probably could have won it, but Tomine isn't good enough. Ultimately, he's not good enough. I think you look at Spurs, and I think, look, they don't like Højbjerg. A lot of Spurs fans don't think Højbjerg is good enough. I'd take Højbjerg in a heartbeat over Scott McTominay. Bentancur, Basuma, probably even Sarr or Skip. Probably not Skip. But, like, they've got a lot of players there, Spurs, who don't really get a look in, yet I would take over Scott McTominay, which I think kind of highlights the level that McTominay's at, and how he's not really good enough, and not really at the required level that he should be and has to be playing in a Manchester United shirt. Unfortunately, just the way it is. Anthony, I think Anthony had a really interesting game. I'm going to give him a 7. And people might call me crazy if I can actually draw a 7. I think generally in the first half, Anthony looked great. He was constantly running at Zinchenko, taking him on. But I even tweeted it out. He looked sharp. He looked like a bright spark. And I was really happy with his first half performance. Second half, we never really got the ball up to him, and he really dropped. So Probably a 7 in the first half, probably about 5 in the second half. You would say round that to a 6. I want to give him a 7 because I was happy with his performance. And I know he gets a lot of unwarranted criticism, in my opinion. So I want to give him a nice rating because I do think he played well. And when we were giving him the ball and when we were creating, he was a big part of that. Besides McTominay, Glazers at fault for not giving us options for the bench. Yeah, but at the same time, I don't think that's complete. It's hard. It is tough because I never want to side with the Glazers, obviously, but it's and again, like I say, I want to make this very, very clear. I'm never going to side with the Glazers. Like, I want them gone just as much as everyone else. I don't like them, but it's not their fault. Martial's injured today. It's not their fault. It's not the Glazers' fault that we took when we took Anthony off, we put Bruno for we brought Fred on for Anthony. Like, Garnacho has played plenty of minutes this year and has played in the Manchester derby, played very well in the Manchester derby, has been given in big moments. Garnacho has been called upon and he has delivered. So just simply say we don't have options off the bench, I don't think is a true. Like, we got Miano. Is that how you pronounce it, on the bench? We've got Alanga and we've got Palestra on the bench. Yes, they're not good enough, but at the same time, if Casemiro's here, it's not Glazers' fault Casemiro's not here, is it? It's not the Glazers' fault that Martial's injured. So in that sense, I don't think you can particularly blame that on the Glazers too much. It is just at the moment we're on a bit of a dire spell, with Casemiro getting injured, Martial getting injured. I think Martial you can blame a little bit more on the Glazers because we know he is injury prone and we do need another forward, because you can't rely on Martial, can you, at all? But again, look, I said it when he moved Bruno to the right. I don't like Bruno on the right. For me, if you're gonna make a change, it was leaving. If you're gonna bring Fred on, that was for Eriksen or Bruno. One of those two had to come off for Fred for me. Probably would have been Eriksen. And if you're gonna bring off Anthony or you're gonna bring off Weghorst, then that's for a Garnacho. I don't understand why we keep using Bruno on the right. I don't think it works, personally, for me. I agree, NG. Gutted with a loss, especially with the fashion it came in the last minute, but plenty of positives. Hopefully Sancho and Delo come back. I forgot. I even forgot about Sancho. Yeah. Usually, if it weren't for injuries and obviously whatever situation actually going on with Sancho, that bench and Casemiro's fit, you have a bench of Heaton, Lindelof, Maguire, Malacia, McTominay, Fred, Sancho, Martial, Garnacho. While it's not the best bench in the world, I don't think that's a bad bench. I mean, we'll go over to this screen and we'll put in team. So so Varane, hello. But if you look at that group of players and that team, I don't think that's bad. Personally. Like, you've got two great centre-backs, two World Cup winning centre-backs. Luke Shaw and Diogo Dalot have been fantastic. Arguably the best left-back in the world, Luke Shaw, this year. In my opinion, he is. Dalot, fantastic. Casemiro and Eriksen has been a great partnership this year. Casemiro, what a player. What a player. And then a front four. And obviously, if you want to bring Jadon Sancho in, you can bring Jadon Sancho in for Anthony. I'm not particularly that fussed in that situation. But then you look at the bench. A bench of Heaton, Wan-Bissaka, Maguire or Lindelof, whichever one you want in there. Malacia, McTominay, Fred, Sancho, Garnacho and Weghorst. Again, while it's not amazing, and obviously we want to improve upon that, I don't think that's that bad. At the moment, we are just in a situation where we are missing key players for this game in Sancho, or at least very good first team players in Sancho, Martial, and Casemiro. And naturally, that's going to make the squad look weaker. We have 10 plus matches left. We may get lucky if Arsenal Man City win, but we don't. We were never in the title race. The fact that we even for a second got included in one is a credit to Erik ten Hag and this group of players, because this is the first year on a project. A title this year, a title race we shouldn't at the start of the season. We can all agree a title race should never have been in this discussion. So the fact that we got to a point where at more or less the halfway stage we were in the discussion for it is a massive credit to this group of players. But top four was always the challenge this year, and it looks like we are going to get that. And then next year, depending on what players we sign, depending on what money we spend, then we can maybe start talking about competing for a title. But right now, just too early. We need Sancho and Dalot back yet. Credit to Ten Hag. We don't have our full strength on the bench since Ronaldo left. Imagine what he can do. Well, exactly. Look, we definitely do need to sign players. That's not going to happen in January. And I think, while it's disappointing, of course, we want to sign players. In the long run, I think that would be it's not necessarily a terrible sign because, well, we never sign in January anyway. But the reason I'm saying we're not going to sign is because the Glazers want out. The Glazers are trying to sell. So the Glazers aren't going to spunk, 30 million on a player when they're trying to get out. So come the summer, when hopefully they've sold the club and we were in new owners' hands, well, then we can start talking about competing for a title if it's the right ownership, with the right model to back Erik ten Hag, get him the money, so we can then push on. Top four in Carabao Cup would be the idea. We've got to win the Carabao Cup, in my opinion. We've got to win the Carabao Cup. Newcastle are good, don't get me wrong. We should have beat them. We should have beat Newcastle when we played them. And I think we can beat them. We have to beat Nottingham Forest. If we don't beat Nottingham Forest, that's a disgrace. So, yeah, Carabao Cup, we've got to win it at this point. I agree. We didn't really deserve to lose it. No disrespect, but I wouldn't want Harry Kane near us in the summer. You've got to take Harry Kane. You've got to take Harry. If Harry Kane is available for the right price, you've got to take him. I would. There's players I think I prefer. Osimhen, I would love at Manchester United, but give me Harry Kane all day. Give me Ivan Toney. I'll take Ivan Toney as well. So yeah, Anthony 7, Bruno. I thought he had a very good first half. Went a bit quiet in the second. I'll give him a 6, 7. I'll give him a 6. Rashford, I'm going to give an 8, and he will be my man of the match. And we've got no. Son's been awful this year. Son doesn't fit because we don't need a winger. We don't need a left winger at all. We've got an abundance of left wingers in Sancho, Alanga, Rashford, Garnacho. Martial can play there. We don't need a left winger. Weghorst, 5. He's doing his best. Look, he's still new, and he's been. Look, this is again going to the Emirates was always going to be a hard game. His first game for United was what 2 days before he signed or after he signed. That was always going to be a tough game because he just hasn't had the opportunity to bed in. This game, how many strikers have we seen go here at the Emirates against Arsenal go have nothing? A lot. So in that sense, I do feel bad for him. Do I think he could have been better? Yeah. But generally, he did his best, and that's all you can. And you can't give Weghorst the same score in McTominay when there's no service. I might be being harsh, but I'm going for it. I do because like I accept there's no service, but obviously if he's not done anything, I can't give him much, can I? Garnacho, I'm not even going to rate because he won on the pitch long enough. Fred, I have another 6. And Erik Ten Hag today is going to get I'll give him a 7. At the end, look, Ten Hag had it up against him today. He really, really did. He had a team that isn't fully strength, missing key players in the likes of Anthony Martial and Casemiro, going to the best team in the world, in the league, at their home ground, a place they haven't lost in so long, after playing midweek and they've had a week off. If anything could be harder, I don't know how much harder it could have got for Ten Hag and Manchester United today. But generally, he had a well-drilled team that made it difficult for Arsenal. They didn't have it all their own way. And at the end of the day, we are 3 minutes away from getting a draw. We are a couple centimetres away from getting a draw. It's these fine margins. Over the last 2 games, fine margins has cost us a point today and 2 points against Crystal Palace. It's annoying, it's frustrating, but that's the way it is. There's positives to take out of these performances. And I mean, that's what we can look at with a bit of happiness, knowing had these games gone slightly different, had we had a little bit more luck on our side, we could have won these games. But the fact we are in it and we can say we just got unlucky, I think is a big deal in a sense, really. So I'm happy with the performance, with the attitude, and I think Erik Ten Hag, like I said, I don't think he got a few things wrong. Moving Bruno to the right, I thought was a mistake, which does bring him down. I think if we kept Anthony out on there, or even if you bring on a Garnacho and put him there, the game might have turned out a little bit differently. Or even if you bring on even if you don't even make it a Garnacho, you bring on Palestri or a Garnacho or an Alanga, someone there with a bit of pace will be able to use on the counter attack. Look, I always say when you're a small team who are gonna look to try and be defensively solid and then kind of attack, one of the first players, the most important thing I think you need is a quick, good dribbler for your wing as a winger. A good dribbling forward or such winger, because they get you out of so many situations. Look, Jack Grealish at Aston Villa. When you are deep, you are defending your box like United were at times, especially at the end of the game. You're going to have Arsenal players so high. But yeah, we'll say this. So it's gone into a 4-4-2 in defending. If you're so deep, look, you've got all this space, theoretically, to run into. If you can get a quick, silky winger on the ball who can drive with it, just run past people, you are... That player is going to be the biggest threat for your team. Because he not only is he an out ball, he's someone that can relieve all sort of pressure. Because as Jack Grealish did so often for Aston Villa, he gets the ball and he runs at people. He either beats them or he wins a free kick. Pressure relief from the back four. Because you've got a free kick, you can set up, you can reset, and that's 30 seconds to a minute wasted with no the game not happening. And I think that's why players like Eden Hazard are so important. Mudryk, I said against Liverpool when he came on, exceptional because he was that. He ran at people. He was hard to beat. He's a great dribbler. He looked. Liverpool was scared of him every time he got the ball, and that is what United lacked in that second half when Bruno moves out to the right. I think Anthony showed that in the first half. Second half he didn't. So I would have liked to have seen maybe a Palestri, Garnacho, or an Elanga come on the right hand side instead of Bruno moving out there. So he still had that option, and that's kind of why he gets a 7. But look, that is going to be it from me today. If you have enjoyed, please do hit that like button below and subscribe if you are new and you haven't already. That would be greatly appreciated. We will be back for the Man United vs Nottingham Forest preview. That will be on Tuesday. So please do tune in for that. But yeah, apart from that, that is going to be it from me today. If you have enjoyed, please do hit that like button below. Subscribe if you are new and you haven't already. And thank you all for watching. In a bit. Peace.